Welcome to this Explorer. Today, we are unpacking the profoundly beautiful Islamic concept of treating life as a temporary journey to find true, lasting tranquility as we age. We're going to be looking at something that is just so fundamentally countercultural to our modern obsession with endless accumulation. We're going to explore how viewing life through the lens of a traveler, especially as we move into old age, entirely shifts our perspective on our legacy, our worship, and ultimately our final destination.
So let's jump right into this incredibly profound hadith from our source material, because it really sets the perfect stage for our metaphorical journey. It says, "Be in the world like a stranger or a wayfarer." Now, a wayfarer is a traveler, right? Somebody who's just passing through. Think about it for a second. When you're traveling, you don't buy a massive permanent house at your layover destination. No way. You travel light. You stay focused on where you're actually going. And this ancient wisdom is asking us to adopt that exact same mindset for our entire worldly existence.
Here's our quick roadmap for today. We are going to hit the wayfarer mindset, compare hustle versus Barakah culture, look at consistency in small deeds, explore investments that outlast death, and finally preparing to meet Allah.
All right, section 1, the wayfarer mindset, embracing life as a temporary journey. The absolute core of this mindset is realizing that, everything in this worldly life is temporary. And when we really accept that, we free ourselves from the psychological exhaustion of constantly chasing material things that are just going to fade anyway. To travel light in this temporary world, we really have to understand this concept of barakah. Our sources define it as a divine multiplier effect. Basically, it means achieving more with less. If you have barakah in your time, you somehow get way more done in a few hours. If there's barakah in your wealth, your income goes surprisingly far. It shifts your entire focus from just frantically acquiring more resources to actually seeking God's blessing in the resources you already have.
Moving right along to section 2, hustle versus Barakah culture, escaping the anxiety of the modern grind.
Man, we live in an era of just relentless hustle, don't we? We're constantly told to grind, never settle, and squeeze every drop out of every waking second. But our sources highlight a totally different paradigm. Hustle culture, it leaves you anxious and completely rushed. Barakah culture, on the other hand, anchors you in sakina, which is this deep, profound tranquility. Look at the contrast here. Hustle culture is egocentric. It's all about serving yourself, which naturally leads to a scarcity mindset and endless anxiety. But Barakah culture is God-centric. You recognize an infinite, abundant creator, and that just completely eliminates the fear of missing out. Time isn't just a resource to exploit. It's a sacred trust to be invested for the hereafter.
I absolutely love this metaphor from the texts. It's like comparing an uprooted tree to a date palm. Hustle culture constantly glorifies failing fast and pivoting, which basically just leaves you with no deep roots. You're just constantly uprooting yourself. But the date palm, representing that Barakah culture, it takes years of patient, quiet growth in the soil, but once it produces, it is incredibly strong, deeply rooted, and consistently bears sweet fruit over an entire lifetime. That is what true long-term impact looks like.
Okay, section 3. Consistency in small deeds, packing light for the journey. So, if we actually want to be like that deeply rooted date palm tree, how do we get there? Well, the answer isn't found in these massive, exhausting bursts of productivity. As this famous hadith reminds us, the secret is in the simple, quiet beauty of consistency. The most beloved actions are those performed regularly, even if they're small. Our sources point out that true change takes time. The wayfarer packs light by focusing on small, manageable, but incredibly consistent habits. It is 100% about quality and sincerity over sheer quantity.
When you practice this kind of consistency, these small daily drops of worship compound beautifully across your entire life. Look at how a believer's day is actually structured around these spiritual anchors. You don't ignore your worldly work, you integrate it. You wake up for Fajr prayer, you do your normal worldly work during the day while maintaining your daily salah, and you reconnect with your family and reflect in the evening. By just weaving these consistent, small deeds into your normal daily routine, you effortlessly build this massive spiritual portfolio by the time you reach the end of your life.
Which brings us to part 4, investments that outlast death, leaving provisions behind. As a wayfarer reaches their later years, your focus naturally shifts, right? You start thinking about what you're actually sending ahead. When you know your physical journey is coming to an end, the intelligent traveler figures out how to keep their spiritual bank account growing long after they're gone. And the sources give us this brilliant rule of 3 for investments that survive death. We're told that when a person passes away, their deeds come to an end, except for 3 things: righteous children who pray for them, ongoing charity, and beneficial knowledge. Think about the profound long-term vision here. You are literally investing in assets that outlive your physical body.
Let's zoom in on that second point for a second. Sadaqah Jariyah. This is the absolute ultimate long-term investment for a believer stepping into old age. We're not just talking about a one-time donation here. This is building a well where people are going to drink for decades. This is planting a tree that provides shade for generations. Every single time someone benefits from that charity, the reward flows directly back to the person who established it, even if they are in their grave. It's the absolute pinnacle of the Barakah mindset, achieving infinite impact from a finite action.
And finally, Section 5, preparing to meet Allah, the ultimate homecoming. So, we reach the end of the wayfarer's journey, transitioning from this temporary world to the eternal one. You know, in so many modern cultures, aging is just filled with total dread. But our sources remind us that if your true purpose has always been the eternal hereafter, letting go of this world isn't a loss at all. It brings sakina. Let's really think about this for a moment. If your entire identity is tied up in your physical youth, your wealth, or your career, things that are literally guaranteed to fade away, you will inevitably face profound grief as you age. But if you've lived as a wayfarer, letting go of this world brings a deep, unshakable tranquility. You aren't losing anything, you're simply arriving at the exact destination you've been walking towards your entire life.
To wrap up this explainer, I really want to leave you with this final, vital question to reflect on today. We are all wayfarers. Every single one of us is just passing through. So, are you planting an uprooted tree of endless hustle, or are you planting a deeply rooted date palm that will provide sweet fruit long after you've moved on? Take a moment today to really think about your legacy. What beneficial knowledge, what ongoing charity, what righteous impact are you sending ahead for your ultimate homecoming?
أيها المبعوث فينا جئت